I have a few videos to share with you guys today. This video is the case to not impeach, because you've had a lot of Democratic lawmakers call for, and Democratic representatives call for, the impeachment of Donald Trump. Take a look at some of these videos I have for you.
I rise today, Mr. Speaker, to call for the impeachment of the President of the United States of America for obstruction of justice. I do not do this for political purposes, Mr. Speaker. I do this because I believe in the great ideals that this country stands for.
He's not working in the best interests of the American people. His motives and his actions are contemptible, and I will fight every day until he is impeached. Impeach 45. Impeach 45. Impeach 45. Don't forget who he is. He's shown us what kind of human being he is, and he is not going to change. Ladies and gentlemen, my millennials, stay woke.
Now, the first video we all know is the Texas lawmaker Al Green in about the second week of May, calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. And then the last video I show you is the Maxine Waters video. She's calling for the impeachment of Donald Trump. And just a side note really quick, I can't stand establishment Democrats, because the Maxine Waters video was literally her saying to my millennials, stay woke. That's just as bad as Hillary Clinton going on Ellen and dabbing, or talking about Pokemon Go. How about they Pokemon Go to the polls? That's it. You wonder why the Democrats lost the election, because nobody believes them as real. Nobody. It amazes me that that's the strategy the Democrats are going with. But here's the case for not impeaching Donald Trump, as Maxine Waters says and as Al Green says. Here's the little caveat, though. Should Donald Trump be impeached? Yes. No. Could Donald Trump be impeached? Yes. Every president since World War II could have been impeached for breaking international law, the Nuremberg trials, or even some own domestic issues, breaking one of our laws that the Constitution has, whatever it may be, mostly based on international law. Every president could have been impeached. Should Donald Trump be impeached? No. Here's why. Here's my biggest reason why Donald Trump should not be impeached, even though he could be, just like every president since World War II could have been impeached. Donald Trump is very incompetent in the political world, meaning he doesn't understand the systems that we have in place. He can't get things done in the sense of loopholes around the system and how to get bills through quicker, and how to persuade people through in a political sense to support a bill and use the bully the bully pulpit, I think it's called, what Lyndon B. Johnson was able to use so effectively, because he doesn't know how the world works. If you impeach Trump, the political world, Congress, and the loopholes and the rules and regulations on how law is formed and how a bill is formed and how all these different things, he doesn't know a lot about it. Pence, however, knows everything about it because he's an establishment politician. If Pence were to become president, actual legislation would be pushed through the House and the Senate, and we would actually see the horrible disaster Republican bills come to light and come to fruition. And with the Senate and the House, and governorships and state legislatures, they literally have free reign over the legislative, the way that the legislative body works. So with Pence, an establishment politician, they can actually have legislation become law. With Trump, that can't happen because he doesn't know how. You have Mitch McConnell and Ted Cruz and, you know, Tom Cotton and Paul Ryan behind the scenes trying to get legislation done because, like, come on, we gotta get something done. But Trump literally called his own healthcare mean, his own healthcare bill mean. But then called the same one a quote, we have a good shot to pass it through. And now the Republicans are switching their talking points to repeal and replace later, which is in reality repeal and forget, because that's literally what's going to happen. So he can't, he's incompetent in the political world because he can't use the establishment rules and loopholes in his favor because he doesn't know about them. So if you get rid of him and put in Pence, he knows all of it. He's an establishment politician. He knows how the system works. He can get legislation to become actual law, which is something that I don't want to happen, because my next point is I'm not one of those Democrats or the establishment corporate center-left Democrats that are pushing this. You're either with Trump or you're against Trump. Everything Trump does is inherently bad because Trump. No, that's insane. I've always said Trump has had good rhetoric on TPP and NAFTA. You know, he said he's going to pull us out of TPP, which he did, and I gave him credit for it. But now he's also said he's renegotiating TPP, which I think that a good prediction is renegotiating TPP is just, he'll just change a few things and push it through anyways, and it'll still be a trade deal, and it won't be good for anybody, and he'll just do it to get maybe a quick political win here, or, you know, secure something for some senators who are House of Representative people to hold on to something for their reelection, you know, something like that. But he could renegotiate TPP, and that could be equally as bad as the original TPP. And Trump himself, he said he's not going to do anything about gay marriage. The Supreme Court ruled on it. Now, that's good rhetoric, but we need you to stand through. If you get rid of Trump, you have Pence, who is an establishment politician. He's never met a war he hasn't liked. He literally believes that gay people don't have equal protection under the law, which is literally in the Constitution, equal protection under the law. That they shouldn't. That he's pro big business. He's for tax cuts for the wealthy. He's for he's for more open trade deals. So he's Trump, but more aggressive on gay marriage and more open to do trade deals. Is that really what you want as president? You know, with Trump, you can have some kind of halt in the legislative process, and you could maybe get a good deal out of NAFTA, a good renegotiated deal out of NAFTA, and TPP could halt. And with gay marriage and stuff, I mean, it's the Supreme Court, but the Republicans own the Supreme Court, so that could easily be overturned, but that may not be through Trump's fault on his own. So you have to keep every option open. You can't just scream impeachment out willy-nilly, because that won't be good for a lot of people, because then you get Pence. You know, Jimmy Dore, obviously. I watched Jimmy Dore here and there, and I think he's great. He said something in one of his videos. The Democrats who scream impeaching Trump are really saying, okay, now we have to impeach Trump to get to the real business of impeaching Pence. Because once that door's open, it takes a lot of political power and political capital to call for an impeachment and actually hold impeachment hearings. And are Democrats willing to do that? And if so, where does it end? Because they'll just be wanting to impeach Pence right after, and then next thing you know, you have Orrin Hatch, and then Paul Ryan, and then you get Rex Tillerson and thrown in there, and then you get eventually you get Jeff Sessions thrown in there, and so it just becomes a laundry list of people who are way worse. Could you imagine if Jeff Sessions became president? No marijuana for anybody at all, for any reason whatsoever. But you can still have your cigarettes, which has been proven to cause cancer, and has no medical benefits whatsoever. But because a few old white people think marijuana is the devil's lettuce, you can't have it, even though it has medical benefits. So that's all I'm saying, is that you have, to the establishment corporate Hillary Clinton Democrats, the phony fake resistance, you can't call for impeachment because, well, you can, but you shouldn't, because of the reasons I just laid out. It's not a good move. That's a lot of political capital, and you're getting someone way worse who would actually hurt some of the Democratic representatives. Another point would be Trump is open to do an infrastructure bill. The Democrats could talk to him. We can get some decent infrastructure bill. Pence was in Congress when Republicans obstructed Obama's plan for an infrastructure bill. So, using those 2 points, I can only assume that Pence isn't up for an infrastructure bill, even though we get an infrastructure grade of D+. So we need an infrastructure bill. You can work with Trump on that. You can get his infrastructure bill through. I mean, unless there's like the writers in the bill that like, oh, it's an infrastructure bill, but hey, what we're also going to do is we're also going to add an amendment that cuts Medicaid by another $150 billion. Well, then, okay, yeah, no, we're not going to do that. We're going to, filibuster it. We're not going to make sure that doesn't happen because it's not an infrastructure bill. It's a Medicaid or Medicare cut bill. That's not what we're here for. We're here to talk infrastructure. Don't put any of your crap, and both sides of the political spectrum do it. I'm just saying, Republicans would, or Democrats would push Obamacare, and then they would also put in a amendment that has an increase in the number of patients who can take medical marijuana in a certain state or whatever, and that's not what they're there for. And so obviously Republicans have every right to obstruct that, just like Democrats have every right to obstruct an infrastructure bill that could cut Medicaid or Medicare or whatever. Democrats should argue we're here for infrastructure, not healthcare. So Pence probably isn't up for an infrastructure bill. He'd much rather use that money to rebuild our bridges and have clean water and schools and hospitals and roads and sewer systems, and use it for more of blowing up brown people halfway across the world. That's probably what he's more in favor of. So you have to look at it very carefully and only call for impeachment when you know he's done something that isn't up for debate and is 100% provable in a court of law.